Police! Hands on your head, don't move! The quiet morning in Sevierville is shattered by sirens and the screeching of tires in front of a white house surrounded by colorful flower pots. Heavy boots crush freshly planted violets as officers kick down the door, shouting with aggressive urgency. A gray-haired woman, her hands covered in fresh soil, is violently slammed against the doorframe, knocking a small bouquet tied with a blue ribbon to the ground. She slowly lifts her bruised. Firen says firmly in a calm but commanding tone, "Call General Isaac Montgomery." In Sevierville, Tennessee, mornings arrive with a soft mist rolling down from the Smoky Hills, and the scent of damp earth blends with the fragrance of flowers blooming in the gardens of old houses. The streets are quiet, lined with porches and rocking chairs, and the bell from the Baptist church rings at exactly 8 o'clock, marking the start of a new day. At 117 Chestnut Avenue, a small white house with a brown roof creaks gently in the wind. On the porch fence, wooden signs read, "Fresh seedlings, violets, roses, lilies, and chamomile." Beside them, a rustic table holds pots, seeds, and hand-painted wicker baskets. This is the home of Eleanor Briggs, 67 years old, a widow. For over a decade and the local flower seller at the Saturday market. She wakes early, every single day, at 5:30 in the morning without an alarm. The smell of freshly brewed coffee already mingles with the scent of seedlings, which she waters before the sun even rises. Eleanor moves with slow, deliberate care, like someone who respects the rhythm of living things. Her hair is gray, tied in a simple bun. Her hands, worn by earth and time, are steady and gentle, hands that understand roots, delicate cuts, and long silences. In the living room, hand-painted floral. Pictures hang on the walls. On the bookshelf, there are books about botany and small glass jars with labels, seasonal seeds, soothing tea, shade mix. In the corner, an old sewing machine inherited from her mother, with a piece of sky-blue fabric waiting for the next stitch. Her only constant companion is her daughter, Sophia, 32, a substitute teacher at the local elementary school. Sophia inherited her mother's observant gaze, but not her stillness. She's more talkative, more energetic, though she respects the quiet that Eleanor carries as if it were part of her body. At the Saturday market, Eleanor is a beloved presence, known for her lavender tea and her quietly wise advice. She never says much, but when she speaks, it's like planting a seed. And everyone in town knows, if your plant isn't doing well, you go talk to Eleanor. Still, despite how familiar she seems, there's always been a certain distance about her, like part of her soul still lives in another time, another place. She never talks about the past. On the porch, beside the seedlings, there's an old wooden radio playing country music at a low volume. That morning it was Patsy Cline. Eleanor hummed softly while transferring a rosemary sprout into a larger pot. Sophia, sipping coffee, asked her mother, "Mom, do you remember the folks from City Hall are coming today to assess the property value?" "I remember. I've already prepared the documents. They said they'd be here early and they asked me about some strange activity on the street lately. Did you see anything?" Eleanor looked up but didn't reply. She just wiped her hands on a cloth, turned the pot carefully, and adjusted the soil in silence. That morning in particular, a Thursday, Eleanor went out to hang the new bouquets. Each one was tied with a handmade blue ribbon, embroidered, with a subtle design. That day, which began like any other, would not stay that way. The clock read 7:42 a.m. 3 unmarked vehicles suddenly appeared on Chestnut Avenue, followed by an armored SUV with tinted windows bearing the label, "Special Task Force, Regional Unit." A police officer in tactical gear shouted, "Target! Sight!" Eleanor's front gate was kicked open. One of the ceramic pots fell and shattered on the ground, spilling soil and purple petals. Across the street, Mrs. Mildred, her neighbor for 30 years, was discreetly recording the scene on her phone. Her hands trembled, just like her breath. Inside, Sophia was still sipping her coffee when she heard the crash. "Police! Hands on your head, don't move!" Eleanor barely had time to turn around. She was in the side garden, sorting seedlings for a customer. She was shoved hard against the exterior wall of the house. Her left knee scraped against the cement floor. Her blue apron, still damp from the morning watering, was now stained with blood. "What's going on? Let us go," Sophia shouted, already being handcuffed in the living room, surrounded by broken pots and scattered books. The couch had been flipped over. The cushions were slashed with a knife. "We have a report that this residence is being used as a site for the production and distribution of illegal substances." Eleanor tried to speak. "This is a mistake," she murmured, her voice hoarse. Two men tore open cabinets, rummaged through baskets, and dumped seed packets onto the floor. One of them kicked open the bedroom door, ripping the curtain off the high window. Out back, in the greenhouse, the most delicate seedlings were already destroyed. The plastic roof had been torn open. The floor, once neatly covered with pine bark, was now soaked with dirt and debris. Sophia kept screaming for help, but no one listened. "This is abuse. My mother is a florist, for God's sake," one of the officers laughed. Still on her knees, Eleanor lifted her dirt-streaked face and stared at the nearest officer. Her eyes, calm yet unshakable, stood in sharp contrast to the chaos around her. The agent looked at her with contempt. "Not gonna be easy getting out of this one, Grandma." Sophia, pinned against the kitchen wall, was crying. "Stop. Please stop this." But no one did. The operation was being led by the new local police chief, Joe, an arrogant man eager to make headlines, chasing recognition and political leverage. His mind, this was a front-page win, a resume booster, a step toward a future office. Finally, Eleanor was dragged out onto the porch. Across the street, a little girl holding a bicycle watched in fear. Her mother quickly pulled her inside without saying a word. The officers were now checking the flower pots out front. One of them kicked the base of an old rose bush, and that's when Eleanor, in a low but cutting voice, looked up at the oldest member of the team and said, "Call General Isaac Montgomery." An uncomfortable silence fell over the scene. The name hit the operation like a stone dropped in still water. The name echoed like a muffled thunderclap. General Isaac Montgomery. The team commander, growing visibly irritated with the rising tension, grumbled, "Where do you know that name from?" The oldest officer on site was the head of the operation. He had served 5 years of active duty before joining the state force. And that name, Isaac Montgomery, he knew it. He stepped aside and picked up his phone. He called an old colleague now stationed at Fort Campbell, 3 hours away. "Jason, it's Joe. I need a quick confirmation. Do you know anyone named Eleanor Briggs? An older lady, maybe in her 60s, living in Sevierville. We're conducting a raid at her house." There was a pause on the other end. Then, "You're doing what?" "Yeah, a raid. We thought it was a drug lab, but so far we haven't found anything. She asked us to call General Isaac Montgomery." Jason let out a curse. "Then you're screwed." Less than 5 minutes. Later, the personal phone of the operation commander rang. It was a direct call from Virginia. The commander turned pale. General Montgomery?" On the other end, the voice was cold and sharp. "I've been informed of an operation currently taking place in Sevierville, Tennessee, at the residence of Eleanor Briggs. Are you people stupid or just incompetent? That woman is a decorated war veteran, recognized for her bravery and tactical intelligence. I want a full report and an immediate retreat." The commander stuttered, eyes wide. "Sir, we didn't know." "You should have. You clearly didn't check the sealed record. Ms. Briggs served under my direct command. She was a key asset in Delta Zone field missions in Vietnam and counterinsurgency operations in Iraq. That woman saved dozens of soldiers. She's untouchable. Stand down, now." Commander Joe walked over to Eleanor, who was still seated on the porch, a cloth towel pressed gently against the cut on her face. "Ms. Briggs, with all due respect, why didn't you say something sooner?" She looked him in the eye. "Because apparently you break everything first and ask questions later." Sophia, still trembling, was unhandcuffed. She cried silently. The chaos quickly gave way to shame. The officers began gathering their gear. The commander tried to say something, but Eleanor simply raised her hand slightly, signaling that nothing more needed to be said. That afternoon, a recon helicopter would quietly land. In a field 2 miles outside of town, an official team from Fort Campbell arrived in person to check on the veterans' well-being and begin immediate reparations. The next morning, Sevierville woke up to something different. An official municipal car stopped in front of the house. Out stepped the mayor, flanked by 2 aides and a police officer. All wore solemn expressions. "Ms. Briggs, we are here to offer financial compensation for what happened and express our sincerest apologies. Commander Joe has been temporarily relieved of duty and sent for retraining." Eleanor simply nodded, her eyes calm. A compensation document was handed over. The mayor began a speech to honor her service to the country, but Eleanor interrupted him. "Mayor, with all due respect, that won't be necessary. Just fix what you broke and let me be." She spent the following days replanting. Her hands, still wounded, touched the broken roots with care. Every restored flower pot felt like a small piece of her soul being stitched back into place. Sophia helped, doing what she could to repair the damage. That's when Joe, the commander, appeared alone on the street. No uniform, just a wrinkled dress shirt and an expression full of regret. "Ms. Briggs, I'm sorry. I owe both you and your daughter an apology. I didn't do my job the way I should have. I'm deeply ashamed." Eleanor nodded, accepting the apology. "Not to push my luck, but I heard you make bouquets. My wife's birthday is tomorrow. She loves daisies. Would you consider making an arrangement for me?" Eleanor looked at him for a long moment. She could have turned him away, could have ignored him, but she didn't. She took a deep breath, walked over to the remaining daisies, cut them one by one, and arranged them right there, with precision and tenderness. "Here it is. I hope she likes it." The man received the bouquet like he was holding something sacred, his eyes filled with tears. "Ms. Briggs, thank you. You truly are a remarkable woman, one worthy of honor." Eleanor Briggs watched Joe walk away. She understood then that the time for battles and wars had passed. She would rather spend her days in her garden, listening to soft music in the background and breathing in the sweet scent of her flowers. If you enjoyed this story, let us know in the comments, click the like button, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next story, especially for you.